Xbox On. Welcome to Xbox On, a podcast with one host about one console, Xbox. I'm said host Jesse DeRosa, and on today's episode, we'll be talking about the latest Xbox news for the week of July 11, 2024, including Xbox Game Pass is getting some long-rumored price increases, as well as some tier changes, including one that doesn't even include Day 1 games. All that and more. On this day in Xbox history, this week in Xbox history, in the year 2006, just 16 little years ago, Prey was released for the Xbox 360. That's right, the original Prey, not the 2017 Prey from Arcane. This is the original Prey from Human Head, published by 2K. You might be saying Human Head. That's a developer that sounds familiar. Well, you don't know him from Rune 1 and 2. You know him because Human Head eventually kind of went defunct, and then the same group of people reformed as a new team called Roundhouse. And Roundhouse, you know, Roundhouse Studios, I believe, and you know Roundhouse because they were part of the Bethesda family that was acquired by Microsoft that was recently shut down a few months ago. Although I guess technically Roundhouse didn't really get shut down. It's more that group of people got folded into ZeniMax Online Studios. So those guys are still either all or mostly kicking around, but they are now working on like Elder Scrolls Online. But hey, who remembers Prey? Listen, the new Prey that has nothing to do with Prey, that's a bucket list game for me. I know I need to get to it. I want to get to it. I'm sure it's great. But I can't talk about that game. I can talk to this game though, because I played the original Prey on the Xbox 360. This was one of those, you know, it's like Dead or Alive. I don't remember which Dead or Alive it was, but we had that. We had Morrowind. We had Perfect Dark Zero. We had Viva Pinata, and we had Prey. These were like the early Xbox 360 games I remember having access to. And, man, I mean, this one and Perfect Dark were by far my two favorite games that we had in the early days of the 360. And, boy, I love this game. Dude, fucking cowboy, alien, shooting nonsense. Like, this, it's like horror, but it's action-packed, and it's more cool and full of guns and action than it is scary and hiding under the pillows. And you're like a fucking, not cowboy, like it's like Native American alien invasion cowboy western style shooter. It's a fucking cool game. I don't remember pretty much a damn thing about the narrative of this game. I just remember playing it many times before because it's the game we had available access to, and thinking, wow, I cannot believe how next gen this console feels. The controller's wireless, the graphics look so fucking good. Why does everything look so crystal clear? I don't know what HD is yet. My stupid brain doesn't comprehend that. And just being very impressed. So I don't know. I don't know if the game holds up or if I was just so blown away by the console. But I'm pretty sure I like this game quite a bit. At least I did when I was like 12 years old and played it. So shout out to Prey. Now there is a Prey 2. Never played it. There's not a Prey 2. Prey 2 is famously a canceled video game. I was, I don't know why, but for a second I conflated Prey 2 with Fear 2. I was like, Fear got a sequel, so that means Prey's a sequel. That's not true. Prey was famously a game that was in like some kind of development hell with the sequel or some kind of like, I don't know if it was a publishing situation or what the issue was, but that game was rumored for a long time. It was in development and then it never happened. It got canceled. So no, we don't have a Prey 2. That's why I never played Prey 2, but the original Prey, it's a cool game. I'm sure it's backwards compatible. It's definitely worth seeking out if you've never played it and you want to like ingratiate yourself in some older Xbox history. I think this is a game worth checking out. But again, that's me going off my memories of being a youth, and I guess everything seems nice when you look back on when you had a full head of hair and a future ahead of you. But hey, guys, welcome to Xbox On, the podcast that's not afraid to get real with you. You see, I'm an unbiased. I love how like every YouTube channel nowadays is like, I am unbiased. Here's my honest review. Here's my unbiased opinion. What the fuck does that even mean? Of course this opinion's going to be biased. Everything I fucking say is biased. I have a bias for everything, dude. It's like, you want to ask me what brand of toilet paper I use? I have a bias for that. This is a very biased show. It's not a problem that's biased. It's a problem if you don't understand what your bias is. You stupid, dumb moron, idiot, R word that I can't use anymore. All right. There you are. Already pissed off somebody. Guys, let's start off this week talking about a notable game releasing on the console. Now, here we are having to get into another game I'm not really adept to talk about, but it's worth mentioning. Neon White. This is that first-person action platforming game with the card mechanics and the speedrunning mechanics. I don't understand what this game is. It's that weird anime Japanese game that came out a few years ago that it got a lot of attention. I think it was PS4 PC when it came out. But people say it's great. It's got great reviews, user reviews, critic reviews, and I know it's just a game people like a lot. And I know Donkey made kind of a funny video about it, but it was like, this game's actually really good. I still don't really know what the game is. I just know it has something to do with speedrunning, first person, and card-based mechanics, and it's anime. And I've heard the story is silly. Don't pay attention to the story, but please enjoy the game. It's a lot of fun. Whatever that means, it's coming to Xbox Series X and S, as well as Xbox One on July 11th. So the day this podcast goes live, you can go ahead and put your ears all over that. Nope, that's the podcast you can do that with. With this game, you can put your hands all over the controller and use the buttons to input and play the game. That's what you can do. All right, let's get past that. I don't want to talk about that. I don't have any interest in that game, so I'm not going to feign excitement or interest. But what I do want to talk about with you all this week, so we don't have, as far as like the big news, it's just one real big story, and you already know what it is. Game Pass prices are going up. So that's really like the bulk of what we have to talk about as far as news. But there are a lot of smaller stories, a lot of things where it's like, this would be a news story if it was confirmed, but it's just kind of a rumor right now. So let's get into some of those things to kind of start the week. I feel like overall we do have a lot to talk about. It's just it's nothing substantiated. You know, it's like, this is happening according to this guy, you know. But nonetheless, I still feel like we have a decent amount of Xbox news, and then I think we'll probably end up, you know, dwelling a little too much on this Game Pass ordeal, so I'm sure we can stretch this motherfucker out to at least an hour and 45 minutes. What do you say? Are you with me? Plus, I'm excited about the game I've been playing this week, so we'll talk about all that and stuff. All right, starting out with our mildly amusing stories this week. You guys, it's being reported by Insider Gaming as well as Windows Central that Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, not the 2011 game that was a huge step down from Modern Warfare 2, but the 2023 game that was a huge step down from the Modern Warfare 2 of 2022. That game is supposedly coming to Game Pass this month. So we got to circle back. Someone was writing in the other day or the other week and saying, why hasn't Xbox put any of these Call of Duty games on Game Pass yet? What's the fucking logic yet or here? And my theory was, they want to really be careful about putting these games into Game Pass, because once you do it, that's it, you know? And so my guess was that they wanted to do Black Ops 6 first, kind of see how that plays out, and then basically build a plan around putting every other game in Game Pass based on what they learned from putting that first day one Call of Duty game into Game Pass for the first time. That was kind of my theory. But now that's out the window, because it seems like pretty credible sources are saying, no, Modern Warfare 3 is going to come to Game Pass pretty imminently here. So we'll learn about that in the next probably week or two. So with that knowledge, I don't fucking understand what the plan is here. It's like, why wouldn't you have done this sooner? And I wonder if this is one of those like, well, you know, Modern Warfare 3 is starting to reach that final stretch in its life where, you know, we're about 3 months out from the next Call of Duty game. So let's give this game like a serious final push by putting it into Game Pass, really inflating that player count, getting them really engaged, get all those microtransactions, and use this as a way to kind of get them hyped about Black Ops 6, which will be in Game Pass in just a few months. And that's the only thing that really makes sense, is because I could get it if it's like, okay, you know, this comes out at the end of July, so you basically have all of August and September and most of October to be like, yeah, Modern Warfare 3, you know, I haven't played Call of Duty in a long time, but it's on Game Pass, so I'm like, why not? I'll check it out. And I'm really feeling it. It's like, man, it's been a while since I played Call of Duty. Like, this is kind of fun. I think I'm actually pretty hyped about that Black Ops 6 that comes out in October, and then maybe this will help bolster like an even higher penetration of Game Pass subscribers who are then looking forward to Call of Duty Black Ops 6. Or maybe this is just a way of saying, hey guys, we know we're raising Game Pass prices on you, but here's how we're going to make it up to you. We're going to give you one of the worst Call of Duty games of all time in Game Pass. So what about that? So my guess is that this is somewhere in between. It's a make good for the announcement of Game Pass prices going up, which we're going to get to in the main news segment, as well as a way of trying to like poke that Call of Duty / Game Pass cross-section audience and saying like, hey, pay attention to this space, because pretty soon here, we're going to drop a brand new Call of Duty, so we just want to have Game Pass subscribers and Call of Duty fans all kind of like alert and focused on this subscription service, this gaming franchise around this time, because something big is about to happen here. That is the only sense I can make of this. Otherwise, I mean, hey, if you really want to get Xbox Game Pass subscribers hyped for Black Ops 6, here's a little advice for you. And I know you're tempted to do Modern Warfare 3 because it's the latest Call of Duty, but that doesn't make it the greatest Call of Duty. Do like Black Ops 2 from 2012, or hell, if you got to do something more recent, do Black Ops Cold War from 2020. Give them a Call of Duty game that doesn't suck donkey dick, so that all the people who are like, I haven't played Call of Duty since Modern Warfare 2 back in middle school, those players who have Game Pass can be like, all right, fuck it, it's on Game Pass, let's just try it out. And, I'm willing to bet there are a lot of people around my age who grew up playing Black Ops 1, Modern Warfare 2, all that Call of Duty shit from like the late 2000s, early 2010s, who have fallen off the Call of Duty boat, who, if they were on Game Pass and Game Pass got a new Call of Duty, they would give it a try and go, wow, this game is actually pretty good. I guess I should come back to this series. You can capture that audience and make that statement if you take a game like Black Ops Cold War and put it into Game Pass. You cannot make that statement by taking a game like Modern Warfare 3 and putting it into Game Pass. That is like trying to get your audience hyped up by giving them a taste of dog shit, It's like going to a 5-star steakhouse and they're like, here's a expired package of Hostess donuts from the bodega down the street. It's on the house. Consider it a free little appetizer, an amuse-bouche type of deal, and you bite into it, and it's stale, and it's overly sweet, and it has no discernible flavor, and it tastes like shit, and you go, oh, that's disgusting. You're like, you think that's disgusting? Wait till your amazing steak comes out. It's like, don't do that to the people, Xbox. God damn it. I understand the logic. This is your newest, most current Call of Duty game. Makes sense. But this is also one of your worst Call of Duty games. Don't do it. The multiplayer, I think, is pretty good, though. Not like that's not like my opinion. That's like I have been, from what I see, people are pretty pleased with Modern Warfare 3's multiplayer over the course of its 1-year life cycle. How they've added new maps and fine-tuned things and added new seasonal whatever, the things they do over the course of a year in Call of Duty. People are pretty satisfied with Modern Warfare 3's multiplayer. I can't speak to that because Modern Warfare 3 sucked so bad to me that I fell off of it within like 2 weeks. I don't know, man. We don't have to dwell on this too long. It's just weird. My advice would be to anyone out there who is a lapsed Call of Duty fan / Game Pass subscriber, please do not measure your excitement level for Black Ops 6 based on your experience playing Modern Warfare 3 via Game Pass. They are not one and the same. I can promise you, without the game even being out in the market, Black Ops 6 is going to be a better game. All right, I feel confident saying that. I don't feel dumb saying that. Even if Black Ops 6 comes out and the game's fucking broken and it's just Shaquille O'Neal pointing his middle finger at you for 75-minute loading screens, I think that's probably still going to be better than Modern Warfare 3. So I feel confident in declaring this. Speaking of Shaquille O'Neal, guys, Xbox has a new ad that's out, and it's all about how the Amazon Fire Stick now has Game Pass built into it. So we talked about it. Fire Sticks now support Game Pass, so you can just stream Xbox to whatever device you're using with the Amazon Fire Stick. So all you need is an Xbox controller and a subscription to Game Pass in order to basically play Xbox on Amazon Fire Stick devices. So they put out a clever little trailer for this, a little teaser where it's like this girl, she's alone in her house, and then like these shadowy figures of like the Pit Boy and the Vault little Pit Boy guy and the fucking Raz from Psychonauts, and the little shadows are poking around the house, and she's like, what's that? And then she goes downstairs and her phone rings and there's a guy on the phone, and it's like Saw meets what's that slasher movie, Scream, and he's like, I know what you did last summer, I'm in your house, I'm gonna kill you or something like that. And she's like, who is this? He's like, I want to play a game. And she's like, what kind of game? He's like, Xbox Game Pass. And she goes to the living room and she goes, I don't have an Xbox. He goes, you dumb bitch, you have Xbox because you have Amazon Fire Stick. And then she looks at her TV, she's like, oh yes, I do. And the funniest part about this little ad here is that she didn't have an Xbox, but she had an Amazon Fire Stick, and now she's able to just play Xbox because she has a controller. Like, why does she have an Xbox controller if she doesn't have Xbox? What the hell's going on here? Is she a PC gamer? Am I supposed to believe this woman is a PC gamer? If she is, why is her Xbox controller in the living room in front of the TV and not in her epic man cave next to her 1080i double XL tower stack RGB cool lighting, liquid cooled nitrogen frozen PC rig, you know? And for that reason, you gotta stop and say, Jesse, you're being a stupid autistic idiot because you're trying to find logic in a video game commercial for TV. That makes you dumb. That makes people think, wow, this man's probably scoring pretty high on the autism test. And I'm gonna have to stop there and go, okay, fair point. I'm gonna let the logic slide because it doesn't fucking matter. All in all, pretty clever ad, pretty fun ad. I like the spirit of this ad. At least it's better than most modern commercials where it's like unrelated content, joke that's not funny, buy insurance, you know, contact your doctor, buy insurance, whatever. So I appreciate this ad for at least just trying to be creative. That being said, this is a big deal. This is Microsoft putting marketing dollars behind the idea that like, hey, don't go out and buy our consoles. You can just go stream our games directly to your TV. And I think that's a big deal. So I just want to really bring this up more than anything just to say, not only is this feature available, but Microsoft is out there putting money into marketing it to people as their console sales drop precipitously. They're saying, don't buy an Xbox, just subscribe to Game Pass and put a little USB thumb drive into your TV. And you know what? It's awesome. A lot of people are going to have Xbox access through this, and I don't know that this is really going to take off. I don't feel like this is going to be a big thing for Xbox. I feel like this is additive. It's one of those like small things that's additive over time. The more things they do like this, and the more over time people become accustomed more and more to streaming games, the more that becomes more of a mainstream thing, the more I believe this will help. But for now, I don't think overnight people are going to be like, oh my God, let's stop buying Xboxes because Fire Sticks. That's not how I see this, but good ad nonetheless. One more thing I wanted to note here before we get into our next story that has nothing to do with Amazon Fire or Game Pass. There were rumors earlier in the week, late last week, early this week, that this week we were going to get the news, the sad news of the next round of Xbox layoffs. Now, we know there is going to be another round of Xbox layoffs. That is what the reporting has been saying for a long time, that after the ZeniMax and Activision Blizzard and all that layoffs, that there was going to be another round that was going to affect more of the core Xbox team and the first-party Xbox Game Studios teams. So we have yet to hear about that. And here we are nearing the end of the week, and we have not heard about that. My guess is that we're not going to get this news this week because they're not going to give us the double whammy of Game Pass is going up and we're firing a bunch of people. So they're probably going to space these announcements out a little bit. But just know that is a bunch of unfortunate news that hopefully doesn't actually happen, that will probably happen, that we'll probably hear about in the near future. So look forward to those two things. People at Xbox losing their jobs and the worst Call of Duty in recent history coming to Game Pass. It's just a great time. Man, take me back to early June when that showcase was happening. Am I right? All right. So just wanted to get that out of the way and make that clear. Now let's get back to our high note. Talk about Grand Theft Auto a little bit. Actually, wait, no, this is more sad news, kind of. I didn't mean for it to be that way, but anyway. From VGC, GTA 5 had planned story DLC that was canceled because GTA Online was making so much darn money, said one former developer. Info data mined from the game in 2023 suggests that a DLC pack named Agent Trevor was one of 3 canceled expansions for the game, alongside other expansions called Zombie Apocalypse and Alien Invasion. Stop right there. Just based on those 3 titles, I already know we are in the darker timeline because I want a fucking James Bond Trevor DLC and then a zombie and alien expansions for Grand Theft Auto. Both of those sound just so much fucking cooler than people buying car insurance in a fake online video game and then, I don't know, basically playing Second Life within the GTA universe. But anyway, here we are in the dark timeline, and the story continues. Joseph Rubino, who is a senior camera artist and virtual cinematographer at Rockstar for 6 years, told San in Play, a YouTube channel, that he worked on the Trevor DLC before it was canceled. He said, quote, "That was kind of my thing," Rubino said. "I was one of the main editors, camera artists, and doing a lot of that second unit on stage stuff. We split our team into 2, so I stayed on GTA Online, and then this DLC with Trevor was a very important part of this DLC, and then some of the team overlapped and went on to work on Red Dead 2. Explaining why the DLC was canceled, Rubino claims that initial financial success of GTA Online made Rockstar change its priorities and focus more on that. Quote, "What happened was GTA Online came out, it was so much of a cash cow, and people were loving it so much that it was hard to make an argument for a standalone DLC and how it would compete with that. I think looking back on it now, I would say that you could probably do both, but that was the business decision that they made at the time." Rubino said the decision to cancel the DLC made him a little upset, adding, quote, "That was a lot of reason for me being a little sour at the time because I was like, yo, what the fuck, guys? This shit's awesome. Let's keep going. Let's finish this." Yeah, not much to say there. I mean, this is long known that the DLC was canceled because I don't know if it was before the game came out or if it was early after the game came out. But they did promise single-player DLC for this game, similar to how GTA 4 had, like, Lost in the Damned and Ballad of Gay Tony. GTA 5 was also supposed to have standalone story single-player content, and I was looking forward to that as well. I mean, I'm not the biggest GTA guy, but when GTA 5 came out, I bought it the week it came out. I played it. I enjoyed the campaign quite a bit. I fell off immediately after the campaign, didn't really dick around the world or do much else, never got into GTA Online, but I would absolutely have gone back to GTA 5 if it got additional story content, because one thing, even though GTA 5 is not my favorite Grand Theft Auto, I think it is the most fun Grand Theft Auto from a campaign perspective. Like, every Grand Theft Auto game I've ever played up until GTA 5, I enjoyed more because I enjoyed driving around, dicking around, listening to the radio, putting in cheat codes, jumping off buildings with parachutes and rocket launchers, all that jazz. But with GTA 5, I had a very polar opposite experience where I was like, I really enjoyed my 30-something hours with the campaign. I really don't want to sit around and play around this world because I just want to get to other games. That's just what I was feeling at the time. And I feel like, yeah, that's for people like myself, that is definitely an unfortunate missed opportunity. But listen, the player count, the engagement, the money spent, clearly Rockstar made the right decision. I mean, GTA Online has made more money than anything else GTA related has ever existed in the entire history of the universe. It makes no fucking sense to even give a shit about the single player DLC, because that would be chump change compared to the money that could be made from GTA Online. And I'm sure ideas, mechanics, themed events, whatever that ended up in GTA Online were bits and pieces borrowed from. Accidentally hit pause. Were ideas that were borrowed from the like plans for that DLC, but we'll never really know, I guess. It just is what it is. But the silver lining is we're like a year out from GTA 6, which is going to be a single player game. So let's just thank our lucky stars that at least GTA 6 will have a single player narrative for us to enjoy. Although I'm really curious about how they're going to work that. Like, is that base game going to also be GTA Online, or is GTA Online going to port over to the world of GTA 6, or is it going to be like a clean slate, fresh restart for the universe? I'm so curious to know how they're going to handle that, because even though GTA 6 is going to have a campaign like every other previous Grand Theft Auto game, it is also very much going to just be another front to resell everyone some package called Grand Theft Auto so that they can get you suckered back into Grand Theft Auto Online for the second time. So, or I guess technically if you're like me or most other people, you bought the game 2 or 3 times, so this will be your 3rd or 4th time being suckered into Grand Theft Auto Online. So yeah, too bad that this is how it went. I understand why, but it's just nice to have the context. It's nice to have like the little anecdote from someone who was there in the trenches behind the scenes and get to say, hey, this is kind of what happened from my perspective. And I appreciate at least getting that peek behind the curtains at the very least. So last one here before we get into the main news this week, you guys. Speaking of games that are long overdue for a sequel, from VGC, the BioShock team at 2K Studio Cloud Chamber is ramping up to continue to work on the next entry in the critically acclaimed series. Quote, Cloud Chamber is currently recruiting like mad for game developers in 2 amazing locations, the San Francisco Bay Area and Montreal, Quebec, according to the website. The studio has 29 open roles according to a range of disciplines, including animation, art, design, scripting, production, management, and writing. 2K announced back in December 2019 that work had begun on a new entry in the BioShock series, but it has been tight-lipped about the project over the past 4 years. BioShock 4 will take place in a new and fantastical world, according to an old job listing, and it's been claimed that it's set during the 1960s in a fictional Antarctic city called Borealis. That was news that was leaked, shared by Colin Moriarty on his PlayStation podcast, Sacred Symbols, a couple of years back, but that's really the only news we've ever had on the game. Cloud Chamber's team includes a number of BioShock veterans, including designer-director Jonathan Pelling and creative director Hoagie de la Plante. I hate pronouncing names. I wish there was a fucking AI that could do that part for me. Anyway, I'm a little bit surprised. I kind of just assumed this game was like quietly getting canceled or something. I thought, I wasn't hoping for this, but I just kind of assumed Cloud Chamber was probably going to be one of those teams this year that got shut down and that all this would be for naught. And I'm really glad and pleasantly surprised to see that that's not the case. I guess, dude, they must have internally rebooted this game, whatever it was, because this team was formed, I want to say 6 months before the pandemic. I think they announced that this team was being formed around it was around the time I started the podcast, actually, because I remember I was new to Florida. It was hot outside, so it must have been summer or any other time of the year in Florida. I just remember this was very early on in the podcast history where we were like, hey, 2K is forming a new team called Cloud Chamber. Wonder what they're going to be doing. And then a few months later, it was like, hey, they're working on BioShock. So the fact that this team has existed for 5 fucking years and they're just now like, hey, we're hiring to make a new BioShock game. It's like, all right, so something happened. You guys had some botched Frankenstein-like project that you had to shut down and kill it kill in the crib before it got any worse. And now you're kind of resetting and you've lost people and you're hiring new people and you're going to try to pick the best pieces of what you had and start from scratch, so to speak. So I'm guessing that's what happened here. Because this makes no fucking sense that 5 years in, they're like, hey guys, we're hiring to make a new BioShock game. It's like, what are you, an Xbox Game Studios team? Like, what the fuck is this? 5 years and that's where you're at? So it's unfortunate that that this news means we have to wait just so much longer for this next BioShock game. But I am willing to wait for good things, and I am glad to just see that this team does exist. They have to live to see another day, and hopefully whatever they have up their sleeves is something really special. I mean, these are big shoes to fill, right? Because I mean, Irrational, Ken Levine, the original BioShock team. This is a legendary game series. It's a legendary game creator. This is some of the best stuff, the creamiest crop of the cream, when it comes to gaming. BioShock is a very highly regarded series. So to follow in those footsteps and have to follow up BioShock Infinite with a brand new entry, a new location, a new idea, a new story, it's going to be a tough job, but hopefully they got the right people and they're up for the task, because gosh darn, man, in a world where everything's a fucking Souls-like, roguelike, I would just like a BioShock game. Just give me a fucking BioShock game. Let me inject some goddamn, what are they called? Fucking vials in my arms and be a big daddy or whatever I gotta do. Just let me go BioShock around. Let me explore. Let me immersive sim my way through a game that doesn't have an open world and doesn't try to RPG its way into my life and doesn't make me learn how to do a perfect dodge roll, because that would just make me want to put fucking BioShock myself to death. So that's great news there that BioShock 4, we'll call it, is still in development, and hopefully some good progress is being made and they're able to attract some really good talent, because that's ultimately what this is about, is they're just trying to attract talent right now. So they're pretty early on in the development stage if this is what they're doing. So just good to see it's around. All right, guys, that's it for all of our opening news stories of mild amusement. And now, you know how it is. I'm not going to yank your chain. We would get into the main news, but we don't do that. First, we talk about the games I've been playing. But before I can tell you about the games I've been playing, I got to tell you about what I've been eating. So I have been a good boy. I have mostly been following my diet. It's been good. It hasn't been too bad. I feel like I'm just... I'm not saying it's super easy and I don't struggle at all. Of course, I want to go to fucking Taco Bell and be a bad boy. I just find the older I get, the easier dieting is. I feel like when I was younger, it was like there were just so few consequences outside of just the vain self-image of I don't want to be fat, that it was just hard to diet. But now that I'm older, I'm just genuinely scared about my health and my well-being. It's I just find dieting is so much easier. Maybe it's just because my life is more regimented. I don't really know the answer. I just find dieting still a challenge, still not fun, but it's a lot less a pain in the ass now than I felt like it was 10 years ago. So all good things, eating the fucking oats and the berries, but there have to be cheat days, because if there aren't cheat days, there's no point in living. So 4th of July was one of these cheat days, right? It's a major holiday. It's the holiday all about grilling out, going out, doing out, whatever. I don't know. We didn't really do much this year for 4th of July. We just kind of stayed close to home and hid from the world. But we did decide to go out to eat an early... Oh, what am I doing? We decided to go out to dinner for an early dinner before it started getting dark, before fireworks, before drunk driving. And, we kind of live out in the sticks in Florida. We live south of Disney a little bit, where anyone who lives around here will just kind of point and laugh at you for living out there, because it's kind of in the middle of nowhere. I kind of like it out here. I like suburbia. I like land. I like space. I like being kind of far away from action. But it's nice because they're building a lot out here because people are moving here. So it's everything's new, everything's fresh. But it's suburban, so it's like cookie cutter. It's not like we're getting like that hip brewery down the street or one of those like cool places where it's like a giant warehouse with no fucking soul, but there's like a boutique shop with expensive dresses that you'll never buy, and a little beer place and a cookie place and a cake place. It's not, we don't have that kind of shit, but we got like Target, we got Denny's, we got fucking a movie theater. So it's like you got the things you need. And I'm cool with that. I'm kind of an old man at heart anyway, so I don't really need all the fun shit. But what we have been getting, like just a few miles down from my house, is like these 2 shopping centers that just keep expanding. And it's like every couple months, it's like something new. It's like, boom, sports bar, boom, Outback Steakhouse, boom, Olive Garden, boom, Longhorn Steakhouse. And I don't know, for the most part, I know like I meme about like TGI Fridays and Rainforest Cafe and stuff. I'm not too much of like a chain family sit down restaurant kind of person. For the most part, I do try to stay away from this stuff because I know it's nothing but terrible, especially God, as an adult, like going to a goddamn Chili's and looking at their menu. It's like I can't even make it past the appetizers without going over my calorie goal for the day. It's insane here. But every once in a while you gotta treat yourself. So right now, this weird thing me and my girlfriend are doing is we're doing this like battle of the chain steakhouses. So a couple months ago for her birthday, we went to Texas Roadhouse because she had never been to a Texas Roadhouse. So we had to try it, see what she thought of it. And this all spawned from some shit she was seeing on TikTok about like these different steakhouse chains. But I'm on board for it because I'm not going to say no to an excuse to go out and eat steak. And then a month or 2 ago, we followed it up by going to Outback Steakhouse. And so for 4th of July, there's like this relatively new Longhorn Steakhouse, like 7 minutes from our house or something. So we're just like, it's close to home. It's easy to just go there, then come right back and hide from the world when fireworks and drunk driving take place. So let's just go to Longhorn and do that. And so this was part 3, basically, our adventure. And I don't think we're done. I think, first of all, I think we have to go back to Outback because when we went there, I didn't get steak. I wasn't in the mood to like go out that night. So I just had like salad and beer like a fucking dumb idiot. So I need to go back and complete the objective. But this time we did Longhorn and I did follow the plan. I got a New York strip. Now, to all you steak lovers out there, to all the Texans that listen to the podcast, and thinking of all of you who were affected by the storm, by the way. Sorry for sneaking that in there so late. But to all the steak lovers out there, listen, I understand the way to go is always ribeye. I don't care if some fucking guy with a suit and tie tells you to get a filet mignon. Tell him he's a dumb bastard child and slap him with a fucking raw piece of chicken breast because that's a dumb person. Obviously, the choice is always, when it comes to steak, you got to get ribeye, boned-in ribeye, maybe prime rib. Like, these are you want the fatty, juicy, sexy steak cuts. But I am trying to be slightly good, so it's like little things here and there. I'm like, let me get a New York strip because it's like kind of like a ribeye, but just a lot leaner. And so I got the strip. And here's the thing. Here's where I'll give props to Longhorn Steakhouse. Longhorn, because this restaurant, keep in mind, this restaurant's like a year old. This location near my house, it's like a year old. I gotta give Longhorn actually like a shit ton of credit for this, like an overwhelming amount of credit for this, because there's one thing that they are doing so right that I don't see any other chain restaurant doing right. I don't see any other family entertainment center doing right. I don't see any grocery store doing right. I don't even see Walt Disney World or Universal Studios doing this right anymore. They stick to the fucking over-the-top, wacky, stupid fucking theming that they had 20, 30 years ago. And for this, Longhorn Steakhouse, I really, really appreciate you. I had every expectation that walking into a relatively brand new Longhorn Steakhouse would be like when we went to Outback a few weeks before, or like any other place I've been in the past 5 to 8 years of my life, where I would walk in and I would remember the 90s where there was like neon lights and fun signs and wacky colors and fun fonts and everything was awesome and extreme and colorful and had character and personality and fun. And then I'd walk in and get that stupid fucking Apple Store thing where it's like, it's gray, it's white, there's bright lights, there's no fucking atmosphere at all. We're blasting music and it's 4 white walls and the AC's a little too harsh and fuck you, there's no soul to this place. So I was fully expecting that, but you walk into a brand new Longhorn Steakhouse in the year 2024, you're going to get the fucking bullhorns on the wall, all the pictures of Texas, you're going to get the fucking rattlesnake bites, and like the fonts on the fucking bathrooms are like men with big cocks and women with boobs and shit like that. It's like, wow, I love it. It's like, it's just like stupid fucking wacky like absolute meme version of Texas when I walk in this restaurant, and it's like the leather saddle benches and seats and like the dark wood all over the tables and like the medium dim restaurant lighting. It's not like a million goddamn windows blasting you with sunshine when you're indoors and no goddamn shade from the exposure of the harsh sun. It's truly beautiful inside a Longhorn Steakhouse. I will wholeheartedly, I would go back to eat at Longhorn Steakhouse just because they haven't lost their soul. Like, we went to Outback Steakhouse a few weeks ago, and this was also a relatively new location. And I remember Outback Steakhouse in the 90s. It was like fucking memeified, just over characterization of Australian culture. It was just like, this is what dumb, low IQ Americans think Australia is. Boomerangs, kangaroos, fun fonts, Subaru Outbacks, just the whole 9 yards. It was crazy. It was Crocodile Dundee meets Crocodile Hunter in that motherfucker. You get the bloomin' onion. You feel like a fucking idiot. It had a cozy, like, nice, warm lighting, booths, not fucking exposed tables that are wobbly. I'm talking booths. You know, we go to a modern Outback Steakhouse. So sad, man. There's just no soul. You can go into a modern Outback Steakhouse and you would think it's the little chic sushi restaurant downtown. You wouldn't know the goddamn difference until the plate hits your table. It's, you know, so Longhorn Steakhouse, I just got to give you all the credit in the world. Thank you for having some thematic integrity. Thank you for having some character, some charm, some self-identity. It's really nice. It's really, really fucking nice, because you go to any theme park today and they don't even understand how to do the goddamn theming thing anymore. It's insane. So just want to give Longhorn their flowers in that regard. Now, how was the food? I don't know. You know how it is. It's a chain restaurant. The quality varies from location to location. Pretty fucking mid. The mac and cheese, really good. That's like that mac and cheese where you just know you're gonna get diabetes. The steak, meh. The problem with steak is it's like I've gotten so. This sounds cocky, but I don't mean for it to be cocky. I don't think I'm an exceptional cook or chef or whatever culinary participant in it by any stretch of the imagination, but I do cook a lot. My girlfriend and I, we try as much as possible to grocery shop, cook our meals at home, don't rely on takeout services, don't rely on restaurants. For the most part, you know, it's healthier, it's cheaper, it's ideally just better to remain committed to cooking your own meals. And over the time that my girlfriend and I have lived on our own and relied on grocery shopping and been self-sufficient in these ways, I have gotten better and better at cooking. And I have unfortunately gotten to the point in my life where if I go to like a middle of the road restaurant or a chain restaurant and I get a steak, I am officially that guy now who goes, it's fine, it's good. I mean, steak, it's good, but I could make this better at home. And that's the problem. I could definitely make this steak better at home. Now, if I go to an incredible steakhouse, if I'm at Disney's Yacht Club Resort and I go to the Yachtsman's Steakhouse and I go for a fucking, you know, a $90 dry aged ribeye, yeah, I can't compete. Their steak is way better. Trust me. I could never ever touch what they can do with a slab of dead cow. But when I go to Longhorn Steakhouse, same thing I did with Texas Roadhouse when I went there a few months ago. It's just like, I feel like my steak's better. Plain and simple. Service, fine. Interior design, decoration, everything, out of this fucking world. Shout out to you. I'm thank you for still having a soul and an identity. Food, meh. And it's the same thing. It's like I had a side salad, the complimentary bread that comes with the meal, my steak with the side of mac and cheese, and then it's like, do I want dessert? You know, teenage Jesse would have said yes. Child Jesse would have said yes. Young adult, like 22-year-old Jesse would have said yes. Borderline 30-year-old Jesse goes, I can't get dessert, man. I'm already like 800 calories over my calorie target for the day, having nothing but salad and an entree and water. Like it's over. It's game over. So Longhorn Steakhouse, you know what to do. That's it for what I've been eating, you guys. Xbox fans across America and beyond are saying to themselves, thank God he finally gave Longhorn Steakhouse the props it deserves. Also shout out to Longhorn and Outback, because one thing I'm acutely aware of now that I live in Florida and now that I drive past the Bloomin' Brands headquarters all the fucking time because it's very close to where I work. I just want to point out, I love how like Longhorn Steakhouse is constantly like, we're Texas, we got callous hands and pickup trucks, and it's like Longhorn Steakhouse is a chain restaurant founded in Orlando, Florida. And then like Outback Steakhouse is like crikey, mate, we're Australian. And then it's like, Outback Steakhouse is a chain restaurant founded in Tampa, Florida. These are all just a bunch of wacky-tacky, touristy chain restaurants from Florida. It's fucking awesome, and I love it. So, Florida, keep up. I still love you. All right, what I've been playing. You thought that was a tirade. Wait till we get to this part. So, what I've been playing, you guys, last week I said I was playing Atlas Fallen. I was pretty early in the game. I was probably only like 2, maybe 3 hours in when I talked last week about how this was a game I've been looking forward to since it was announced, and that I wanted to play it for about 6 months now. I've owned it. I got it during like a holiday sale around Christmas time, and I just haven't played it. It's been downloaded. It's been waiting. I just haven't played it yet. Well, I finally got through it this past week. I rolled credits on this bad boy. I got through to the end. I saw all of the main quest line, and I even dicked around for a little bit after. Did some side content before I rolled credits and a little bit afterwards. So all in all, I put like 11, 12 hours into this game. I think I beat the campaign in like 9 hours. So it is a pretty easily digestible game. This is a game that could absolutely be a fun weekend game. It could be if you're a normal human being who has obligations as an adult, this is the kind of game you could probably beat over the course of 2 or 3 weeks. It's I really, really enjoyed it. And there's a lot of good things I had to say about this. I was not as hot on this game last week when I talked about it, but I am feeling much better about it having beat it. I think this game's biggest issue is that opening hour is rough. Because the opening hour, first of all, I just don't think the narrative in this game is all that compelling. And it's a game that doesn't need to have that. That's fine. But between the opening cinematic and then the opening 20 minutes of exposition and initial gameplay where you're just wandering around, doing the thing, talking to this person, talking to that person, and then the roughly 1 hour of the game constantly breaking up the flow of combat to be like, and there's this mechanic, and there's this ability, don't forget to equip this, and this is how you use this. This gauge measures this. You lose it when you do that. Make sure you do this so that the gauge increases. Make sure that you customize these abilities so that you can use these abilities when the gauge is at this bar. Make sure that you use this mechanic. Make sure you're focused on upgrading this so you can do... And the game is constantly just bombarding you with dog shit information. And at first I thought, wow, this game's combat system is really, really obtuse for no fucking reason, because it is a pretty straightforward third-person action-style game otherwise, but it's actually not that complicated. The game just makes it seem really complicated by bombarding you with everything all at once for no reason. So once you get past those first couple of hours and you get that bad taste out of your mouth of like, don't really love the opening narrative part, don't really love the opening combat tutorials and stuff like that, once you get past that, and the game just kind of lets you go free, you pretty quickly pick up on what the gameplay loop is of this game, and you get really sucked into it from like this is just a really fun kind of like junk food game. And I mean that in the most complimentary way. I love games like this. This game does pretty much nothing that it's like, wow, I've never seen a game do something like this before. This game doesn't tell a story that's like wholly unique or mind-bending. This game doesn't really do a goddamn thing that like really makes it stand out from the pack and make you stop and think and go, wow, this is a game I got to recommend to people. This game is just like a lot of really good things from a lot of games you remember playing back in like the 360 years, with some influence from like even like the OG Xbox PS2 years, with a little bit of influence of modern gaming too. It's a little bit of all of that, but I would say mostly this game feels like a game that's very much at home from like the year 2010, 2011, something like that. And we don't get a lot of these kinds of games anymore, but it is such a refreshing, like just breath of fresh air. Like the best way I could put it is like last year, awesome California punk rock band, longtime punk rock band, the Bouncing Souls, put out a new record. It was not a great record by any means. There's not a single track on that album that was like, wow, this is one of the great punk rock albums of all time. Wow, I can't believe after all these years these guys are still putting out new music that's just so creative, and it just makes me smile with like the new ideas and the new skills they have. It's like nothing to write home about. But it was such a comfort food album. It was an album where it's like within 1 or 2 listens, every single one of these songs is stuck in my head. They're all pretty straightforward, 3 chords each. They sound like every other song they've ever written, but It's fun, it's comforting, and I can put this on in the background and be totally happy with another 12 tracks from this band I've been listening to for the past 20 years. It's like that. That is Atlas Fallen in a nutshell. It has not influenced me or changed me or anything as a gamer. It has not made me think differently or feel differently about anything in the gaming realm, but it was very entertaining. It was very engaging. It was very fun and enjoyable for the 12 hours I played it, and I'm very glad I enjoyed it. I played it because I enjoyed it quite a bit. All right, so that out of the way. Yeah, so this game isn't nearly as complicated as it seems. So it's a series of semi-open world areas. I wouldn't even say semi-open worlds. It is open world, but it's one of those games kind of like that second Tomb Raider game from 2015, where it's like what Rise of the Tomb Raider, where it's like you're kind of in this first area. It's open world, and you do about 30% of the main quest here. But then once you finish that main quest mission, that's like, you know, once you finish the main questing portion of this open world map, you then move on to the next part of the game, which is another small open world. And it goes, hey, warning, do everything you want to do over here, because once you move on to the next part of the game, you don't come back here. And it's like, okay, I'm ready to move on. And then you're somewhere new. And last week I complained that the game doesn't have a lot of variety in terms of its like, environment. It's all just like deserty sand. It does get more varied throughout the game. And it, you know, but it's like, I understand it kind of has to be this way to some extent, because that is part of what the game is. It's like this, you know, you can fucking sand surf on land and things like that. So it's part of the aesthetic and the charm and the setting of this game. They can't just deviate from it too much. They can't just have a random snowy level or fire level or an ice level or whatever. So I get it. And the game does get more varied aesthetically with the like an inside dungeon level, and then like at the end of the game it gets a lot more foresty. So there's some more setting variety as the game progresses. So that's one concern I had early on that actually got addressed. But overall, here's the thing. This game tries to be unique with its combat mechanics by being like, all right, so you have this stamina meter. The more you attack enemies without getting hit, the higher the stamina meter gets. But you have all these abilities you can unlock, and you get to customize these abilities. But these abilities unlock as you build up that stamina meter. So it's like this ability unlocks after 1 bar of stamina. This ability unlocks after 3 bars of stamina. And so it's like as you unlock these more stamina and more abilities in combat, you can unleash these bigger attacks, these different, more varied attacks. And so it's kind of like spices up the gameplay, encourages you to play well, not get hit. You get to do fun attacks and special abilities as long as you know how to chain everything together. And so it's like, it's fun, it's creative, it's a good gameplay mechanic. And then it has like that self-heal thing where it's like you got to keep hitting enemies in order to get the ability to self-heal. You can't just run and hide and keep self-healing. You have to attack in order to build the stamina to heal yourself. So it's one of those aggressive kind of action third-person light RPG combat styles where it's like you have to be aggressive in attacking the enemy in order to perform well. I definitely played the game on easy mode, and because keep in mind the developer makes this game, Deck 13, are known for making Souls-like games, and I didn't want them to pull any bullshit where it's like I make it to the final boss and he's hard as dick, and then I get frustrated and throw my controller at the wall. So just to play it safe, I played the whole game on easy mode. The difficulty was pretty fucking easy. I feel like I probably could have played on normal mode, but I was just there to enjoy the experience and not really get into any gruelingly hard combat scenarios. So overall, I actually ended up liking the combat in this game a lot. The more I got used to it and really understood it. It's not very difficult or complex at all. It's just that there's a lot of ways you can customize it if you so choose so. There's a lot of abilities, a lot of sub-abilities, a lot of different armor things, a lot of different weapons. And so it tries to be very RPG-like and all that, and then you can level and upgrade all these things. And then there's skill upgrades you can also get on top of all that. So, you know, armor upgrades you can get on top of that. So it tries to get very stat-heavy and very RPG in that way. But it's thinly veiled. It's all pretty straightforward. It's typical RPG shit. Just pick the stuff that has the highest stats that you currently have unlocked, and you'll always play pretty well. It's, you know, nothing too fancy, but I like it a lot. I like some of the abilities you unlock. Like I always played with like the double swords that you can like kind of swing around like Kratos style. And there's like that fun ability where if you're far away from an enemy, you hold on to X, and he'll like throw like a hook shot with his sword, and then catapult himself towards the enemy, so you can like launch into them and like slash them up. And like, you know, you can do this little like air dash mechanics where you can upgrade it so you can dash more and more. And the rule of thumb is if you hit an enemy while you're in the air, you earn another air dash. So hypothetically, you could just stay in the air for like 2 minutes just slashing fucking flying enemies and like dashing around like the tops of giant enemies and like beating them at their heads or whatever. So it's cool. You can like always stay in the air, and then you can like stand surf around, and it's really fun to move around. Like, so the movement, the combat, it's kinetic, it's fun, it's fluid. It feels a little sloppy, like it could have been fine-tuned a little bit, but for like a very double A feeling Xbox 360 style game, it feels about how you expect it, maybe even a little better, but it's nothing to write home about. This isn't like the strongest combat I've ever experienced in a game, but it is creative enough, it's novel enough, it's fun enough, while also being familiar enough that you're just like, all right, I get this. I see what we're doing here. I will say towards the end of the game, I feel like there's a couple of encounters that like overstay their welcome, where it's like, okay, I get it. You know, oh, this enemy again. Okay, we got to do this again. But for the most part, that's a nitpick. I feel like the game was very fun from start to finish. I don't know. I like this game a lot. I really like the exploration. I really like that, like, the main... It's like the way the game would work is it's like you get to the next open world area. Then you have to find shards to upgrade your gauntlet. So you would basically, like Zelda Breath of the Wild style, like find a vantage point, look out around the map, look at these beacons and be like, I got to go over there, like that watchtower, that like Assassin's Creed tower collecting thing, and that one, and you would go these different towers, but you have to do like platforming obstacles in order to get to the shards and unlock them. And so they'd be like these little light mechanic, like puzzly type things where it's like double jump up here, dash across this chasm, jump up there, you know, platform across this area, and then get over there and collect your shard. And so it's like a lot of little platforming challenges and exploration incentives. And as someone who loves platforming so much, that was a very fun part of the game. And then you get all your shards, you upgrade your gauntlet, and then it was time to like do the quest, fight this bad guy, go just find this guy who's lost in this cavern, do this thing, that thing, whatever. And so, you know, the loop becomes kind of predictable. It's always like, find new location, find shards, upgrade gauntlet, go do quest, go fight bad guy. Next area, do it again. And while you're doing all that, there are side quests, there are other collectibles and hidden items you can find throughout the map. And there are other things you can do, and you can spend more time fighting enemies and doing other encounters and upgrading and customizing and doing all that shit if you really want to. I did a little bit of it, but not too much. But overall, I just found this game was like that perfect, like once I really understood what the game was and I knew the loop, it was that perfect game to just like put on a good podcast, close the windows, make it dark inside the room, sit in front of the fucking TV, and just enjoy a Saturday afternoon just playing through this game, you know? And like, I would like, you know, press pause on the podcast during cutscene, half pay attention, be like, okay, I vaguely know what's going on. Who's that character again? Oh, she died? I vaguely remember who that was, like from 5 hours ago. Who cares? You know, that kind of thing. I don't know. Overall, I just really enjoyed this game. And to reiterate on something I said last year, or last week, not last year. This game, from a visual and fidelity standpoint, is very like 2014 early Xbox One looking. I'm sure some of the lighting and some of the textures are technically a lot better than that, but you know, going off memory and feel, this feels like a game from like maybe 10 years ago, visually speaking. In terms of like what it is overall as a game, it feels like something from the Xbox 360 era, and I mean both of those things in the most complimentary way possible. This is a game that considering it came out just like 4 years after the Surge 2, and they're already working on another game. This is exactly the kind of game we need more of in the games industry. It is not knock your fucking socks off with its cinematography and its motion capture and the highest budget actors and the best storytelling. It is not the most visually satisfying world you've ever seen. Oh my God, the graphics are to die for. Play it on fidelity, the highest fidelity you can. The ray tracing is out the ass. Look at the fruit mechanics. It's none of that shit. It is a no frills, good but not great looking game that's a lot of fun, and I think we need more of this. Like I just need fewer games in my life that are like, hey, I need 30 hours of your life. I need 50 hours of your life. I need 70 hours of your life. I need fewer games that are like, this is the most important narrative you're ever going to embark on in all of the interactive medium of video games. I need fewer games that are going to be like, well, the best part is it's procedurally generated, so you can beat the game again and again and again, and you'll only get the true ending once you do this, this, and this. I just need more games that are like, hey, I'm 10 hours long, I'm a lot of fun, and you can listen to your favorite music or podcast in the background while you play through me. Let's go have a good weekend. You know, I just need more of that shit. So I just want to give special shout out to Atlas Fallen, because I just think it's a really great game. Is it like game of the year material? No, not at all. I mean, if I had to give this game an IGN rating, it's like a 6.5 out of 10. It's like right in between right in between like okay and good, right? And the thing is, like, we need the world to understand more and more. We need people in the games industry, fans in particular, to understand more and more that, like, a 6 out of 10 is good shit. A 7 out of 10 is good shit. Like, we need more of this stuff. It's good to go to the movie theater sometimes and see a movie that's like, yeah, I mean, the story is nothing groundbreaking. It's, the cinematography is not impeccable or anything, but the action's fun. There's some really funny moments. And you can tell that the actors and the director and the staff, whatever, had a really fun time making this movie. That's what this game feels like. It doesn't feel like it's going to win any fucking game awards, from Jeff Keighley. It doesn't seem like the director of this game is going to come up on stage and give a fucking heartfelt speech about, the games industry and the state of the business and all that and women in the workplace. It just feels like the kind of game where it's going to be like, yeah, we had a lot of fun making this stupid game. It's kind of a love letter to the games we really enjoyed playing 15 years ago. Here it is, And on top of all that, literally 2 days after I beat the fucking game, word starts going around via Xputer, writer X Does One, who's a leaker reporter guy who has been, recently revealing a lot of Game Pass leaks ahead of their announcement. And he says that Atlas Fallen is actually coming to Game Pass in the near future. So they call it a fantasy action RPG. But it's planned to come probably in July or August, which is fitting because the game came out last August. So figures about a year after the game's released, it'll come to Game Pass. So this game is perfect for Game Pass. I think if you're a Game Pass subscriber, this is definitely something you should take a look at. Unless you just know these are the kinds of games that aren't for you, this is absolutely something that is just so perfect for Game Pass. I highly, highly recommend. I'm very glad I paid for it because I wanted to support this game. This was a game from the moment they first revealed it that I was like, that's a Jesse game. I want to support that game with my dollars because I want to see more games like that exist. And I was right about it. Absolutely right. So far, to me, Atlas Fallen is the Xbox Series X's version of ReCore. And I know I said that last week. And I mean that. ReCore was a game that got a lot of shit, swept under the rug. No one ever talked about it after it came out. No one remembers it. No one cares about it. And if you look at the reviews, it's a lot of like 4 out of 10, 5 out of 10. This game's kind of stinky. I played ReCore. It's got a couple of issues. There's some stuff at the end of that game that kind of pissed me off. But all in all, I think ReCore is a very fun game. It is a very, very competent, really fun, AA kind of game. I just wish we had more of this. Not everything has to be a Last of Us competitor, okay? Like, I don't know. This game is everything Hellblade 2 is not, right? Like, Hellblade 2 is crazy performance, acting, writing, fidelity, just presentation. Everything's just, so awesome. Atlas Fallen is none of that. It's just a lot of fun to play. It's just a really, really cool game. So, I don't know. Shout out to that. I like games that are just cool. Also, like, what's not cool about a guy in some like weird like Assassin's Creed looking robes sand surfing around the desert? That's just kind of badass. So, all right, that's it for what I've been playing, you guys. Let's take a quick break. Come back in a minute, and we'll talk about Game Pass, prices increasing, all that jazz. So yeah, we'll get right back to it. All right, come back, drink some water, did some stretching, listen to a couple songs. Now, let's talk about Game Pass pricing. All right, guys, here's the deal. Remember last week? Xbox Network went out. Internet freaked out. We tried to keep her cool. All right, let's try to do the same thing this time. Let's try to act civilized. All right, let's just read from Windows Central. Microsoft confirmed to us the details on the long-expected Xbox Game Pass price increase. And now, well, it's truly here. But it comes with some major changes to the basic Xbox console tier as well. Xbox Game Pass is Microsoft's Netflix-like service, all-you-can-game subscription service, as blah, 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 and one of its more noteworthy recent gaming innovations. For a monthly fee, players get access to hundreds of games, as well as day one hits on Microsoft Surface Studio. What the fuck? Why do they write this stuff? Sorry. I got this right from Windows Central. It's like, I love Windows Central, but I swear to God, sometimes that fucking SEO fucking data mine, they gotta keep you on the page so you can see the ads. All right, here we go. Microsoft rebranded Xbox Live Gold to Xbox Game Pass Core a short while ago and has done some small price increases over the year. Now, we are getting another name change of sorts, as well as some major changes to the basic Xbox Game Pass tier, as well as a range of price increases. So here's what you need to know. Breakdown, bullet point by bullet point. First of all, Soon, Xbox Game Pass for console will be shuttered to new users only. Basically, if you have Xbox Game Pass for console, you can stay subscribed to it, but if you unsubscribe to it, you can't get it back. And if you're a new subscriber, you can't get it. It's going to be going away completely. Game Pass for consoles is the tier where it is $10 a month. You don't get access to play games online. It is just access to the games in the Game Pass catalog, but you do get day one Game Pass games. So all that for $10. That tier is going away completely. If you stay subscribed to it, you can keep it. Otherwise, it's gone. So that's number one. Number two, users currently subscribed to Game Pass for console will be allowed to maintain their subscription as well as any day one games and the hundreds of titles in the back catalog. We just talked about that. Okay, so here's the true number two then. New users on Xbox Game Pass in the near future will be greeted by a new Xbox Game Pass standard tier. This is more like EA Access, which includes Xbox's back catalog and doesn't include any day one games. This will be priced at $15 a month. It doesn't include any day one games. It also includes Xbox Live Gold for multiplayer, known as Game Pass Core confusingly. It doesn't include Xbox Cloud Gaming. Game Pass Standard is supposed to launch in September. So let's stop there. So basically, Game Pass Core is turning into this new thing. We got Game Pass Standard Edition. Windows Central and the rest of the internet keep referring to this as confusing. It is kind of confusing at first, but I think it kind of makes sense once we put it all into perspective. We'll come back to that in a minute. So $15 a month, you get access to play games online, just like you did with Xbox Live Gold, and you get access to the Game Pass library, but you do not get day one games. It is a back catalog. So if Atlas Fallen comes into Game Pass next week, you get that. If you want to subscribe to Game Pass so you can play Dead Island 2 or whatever's out there right now, you can play that. But when Call of Duty Black Ops 6 comes into Game Pass in October, you do not get that. So what I assume that means is this tier is going to get all those games down the road. So like, for example, Black Ops 6, Indiana Jones, Avowed, these games come out this year. Those are day one Game Pass games for people who have Game Pass Ultimate. But if you have Game Pass Standard, you will probably get those games 6, 10, 12 months after they come out. So kind of like EA Access, you get them down the road, but not on day one. All right, next thing. From September 12th onward, Microsoft will only allow users to stack Game Pass for console users up to 13 months using prepaid cards and the like. This will continue to function which will continue to function. If you have more than 13 months stacked currently, you will not be impacted. So that is to curtail the people who go and they buy if you buy it in like the Brazilian currency on this website, you can stack up 2 years of Game Pass, blah, blah, blah. It's to kind of get around that and try to get more people to pay the full price. Because I know there's a lot of people, you see it on Twitter all the time, people are like, I already have 4 years of Game Pass stacked up through Newegg.com will be like, we're selling a year of Game Pass for $20 off, whatever like that. And so it's to try and get people to pay the true month-to-month price more and more often. It's also designed in case they had to change Game Pass next year or in 2 years, that it gets all those users kind of updated with the new tier plan and whatever the new price is a little quicker, because there are a lot of people who are stacked up on these old tiers of Game Pass for like 3 or 4 years at a time. So it's designed to target those people, which is kind of shitty. Like, I don't know, the people who are kind of savvy enough to play that game, it's like, are there really enough of those people that it makes a financial difference to you whether or not you target them or not? I don't know. I feel like that's just kind of one of those things you just kind of let it happen. A couple very savvy people are able to do it. Most people don't. But oh well, I guess, every penny counts if you're trying to run a corporation, I guess. Anyway, next up, Xbox Game Pass Ultimate will not change. The actual product, the services included, everything about that is remaining the same. The only thing being affected by Xbox Game Pass is the price will increase. So it will still include PC Game Pass, day one games, hundreds of back catalog titles, as well as cloud gaming access. But the price will now go from $17 a month to $20 a month. Okay? All right, next up, PC Game Pass is also same thing. The features, the benefits, everything is staying the same, but the price is going up from $10 to $12. So it's going up. Everything's going up $2 or $3. So it goes up a little bit. And then PC Game Pass will continue to get day one games. So if you have PC Game Pass, you still get access to Black Ops 6 and Indiana Jones and Avowed the day they come out on PC. All right, Xbox Game Pass Core, which is basically just Xbox Live Gold, but renamed because we don't use Xbox Live as a brand anymore, is getting an annual increase from to $75. So it's currently $60 a year for Xbox Live Gold or Xbox Game Pass Core, but that's going up to $75 a year. If you pay month to month, though, you don't buy it by the year, you pay it by month, it's still going to remain at $10 a month, okay? Because you're overpaying by that way anyway. So it's going from $60 a year to $75 a year, or it stays at $10 a month. Prices increases are going to be affected globally in every territory, and for users with reoccurring billing, the new pricing will be affected for billing cycles that take place on or after September 12th. So there you go. According to Microsoft, the vast majority of users today are already on Game Pass Ultimate, which is their flagship plan for the service. Game Pass Ultimate incorporates all games on Xbox consoles as well as cloud and PC too, and also offers cross-save and cross-progression. Microsoft joins the long list of subscription services like Netflix, Spotify, and others that are increasing prices over recent years. For users who play tons of games, Xbox Game Pass Ultimate more than pays for itself. But for those who don't, Game Pass increasingly might look like a subscription service worth cutting from the monthly bills to save cash. Mr. Maug writes in and says, well, it seems you were right. The Game Pass price bump. Here it is. I always thought the bump from $15 to $17 a month was the bump, but I guess not. Mr. Maug, I see you, sexy boy. Thank you for writing in. All right, there's a lot of ways we can tackle this one. Here's the thing. Yes, so we've been talking about this for a long time. Every gaming outlet, every pundit, every self-described, Xbox pundit, podcaster, vlogger, blogger, TikToker has been talking about this forever. It's been coming, right? Here's the thing: is there's two things you gotta keep in mind. I'm very sensitive to and aware of the current state of economic conditions for people, for normal working class human beings. Can't fucking get a break. I'm in that class of people. I also have a middle class day job, a mortgage to pay, regular adult responsibilities, and I'm up against the fact that when I a couple of years ago I stopped shopping at Publix and Walmart because it's too fucking expensive, and now I shop exclusively at Aldi, and even Aldi's starting to get not expensive but normal price. I feel like 2 years ago I ditched Publix and Walmart so I could save money at Aldi. Now I shop at Aldi and I pay the prices I used to pay at Walmart and Publix. Like, it's bad. The grocery store is fucked. Gas prices, actually, people kind of overreact about gas prices. They're relatively affordable in the U.S., especially on the East Coast compared to where they are most of the world, but doesn't take from the fact that gas is still expensive. Car repairs, forget about it. Need to buy a new car? Fuck you. Want to buy a house? Kill yourself. Want to rent an apartment, a regular fucking apartment, so that you can have a place to lay your head at night and live? Your only option is a quote-unquote luxury piece of dog shit apartment where your shitty neighbor blasts his music and lets his dog shit on your front step, and the leasing office goes, nothing we can do about it, luxury apartment, $2,400 a month, please, fuck you, kill yourself. I get it. It sucks. Everything sucks. Jobs aren't giving people pay increases. There's no, hey, inflation's up percent, here's a percent pay increase to keep up with inflation. It is make the same money that wasn't even enough 5 years ago, stretch even further, despite the fact that everything's gone up in price and you are getting nothing more because of it. I get it. It all sucks. I'm frustrated about it too. Every fucking day of my life, I'm increasingly aware of how every generation is getting more and more fucked because the fucking old generation is in charge of everything, has no fucking concept of what's going on, and is constantly ramming shit down our throats. It's making everything worse. And then our government just points to fucking gay and liberals and woke and MAGA to fucking blame everyone for everything, except take responsibility for the dog shit they're doing, the corporations they're beholden to, and the ways in which the American people and in other countries, other governments and other parts of the world, the way their governments are allowing the people to be royally fucked. I get it. It sucks. So that is just a little preamble to say I'm very sensitive to the economic conditions that the majority of people are facing. I'm also acutely aware of how incredibly privileged I am to despite the fact that I work for every fucking penny I make and try to budget so I can have money to pay my bills and hopefully one day even maybe retire. Probably not really, but maybe it's a pipe dream. So I realize how blessed I am, how privileged I am. I don't have kids. I can't fucking imagine how people with kids do it. It sucks. Everything sucks out there. The economy's a mess. I get that. I have to over-explain that part to prove that I fucking get it. That being said, I don't understand how in good faith as an Xbox fan, as someone who follows the news, follows the podcasts, sees what's happening in the industry, how you didn't see this coming. And Mr. Mag, I don't mean this as any slight to you. I love you. Thank you for writing in. I appreciate you as always. But the fact of the matter is, Game Pass was always too cheap. It was always too cheap. It is the same business model that companies like Netflix and Spotify and everyone else have always used, which is you lose money for a long ass time. You introduce the product or the service at a really stupidly low price with tons of shit that makes people go, I'm a dummy if I don't have this service. People subscribe, they get hooked on it, and then over time you raise the price until the combination of price increases and subscriber penetration equal profitability. The thing about Game Pass is, and I don't care how much your favorite Xbox crazy podcaster told you this, and I don't care how much Phil Spencer skirts from the question when IGN throws him softballs, the truth of the matter is, Game Pass is a loss leader for Xbox. That's okay. Microsoft can afford it, but it's a loss leader. They do not make money off Game Pass. It fucking hemorrhages money to make these multi-million-dollar, $200 million video games, and then they just fucking give it out to 20 million people who are paying $10, $12, $15 a month. It doesn't make sense. It's not sustainable. It's stupid. Game Pass is a Hail Mary to say, doesn't fucking matter what we do. You motherfuckers keep buying PlayStation. Here, we'll give you a service that makes games so incredibly accessible, cheap, and convenient that you're an idiot if you don't play Xbox. That's what Game Pass is. It does not make money. They would like for it to one day make money. And right now, we're down the barrel of two things. Game Pass is at the point in time in its life where it's been around long enough that they need to do that gradual price increase to make it profitable. And then B, or number two, the economy's in the shitter, inflation's crazy, and everyone needs to raise prices in order to make that money that they were initially planning on making or that they used to be making but aren't anymore because the cost of doing business has gone up so much. So Microsoft has to raise the prices for both of those reasons. And then on top of that, Game Pass has a unique problem that subscription services like Spotify and Netflix aren't facing, which is that Game Pass isn't growing the way they wanted it to and thought it would. Its subscriber base has flatlined. Their internal projections thought that they would be at like 40, 50 million subscribers by now, and they're like at like what is it, like 30 million or something? They're down. They're flat. Their numbers are just kind of staying stagnant. And yeah, we hope, or you assume, or you would guess that maybe Black Ops 6, Indiana Jones, things like this, provide these games are great, will help bolster Game Pass numbers. Maybe, probably. I'm sure Game Pass subscriptions will go up once these games come out, as these games come out. But the truth of the matter is, between inflation, flat Game Pass subscriptions, and the inevitable business model of subscription services being raise prices over time until you reach profitability, this price increase was inevitable. There was never any chance in hell Game Pass was ever going to be just $15. I remember when Game Pass came out, it was $10. $10 fucking dollars for Game Pass. And then you had Xbox Live separately. And then like a year later, they're like, all right, we know you don't want to subscribe to Game Pass and Xbox Live. Here's Game Pass Ultimate for $5 more. We lump Game Pass and Xbox Live into one subscription service, $15. And it was like, okay, that's great. That's way too cheap. What's the catch? A few years later, all right, price is going up to $17. All right, that's way too cheap. What's the fucking catch? You don't get to make games like Call of Duty and then just give it away for $20 a month, I think even I'm not saying, I personally think $20 a month is too little. I want to pay more. But I'm saying, understanding this from Xbox's and Microsoft's perspective, $20 is probably still too low of a price. And what they had to do is gradually raise the price so that you look back in 10 years and go, wow, the price has increased a lot over the past decade, hasn't it? Rather than it just going from $10 to $30 overnight and you going, nah, fuck that, I'm unsubscribing. They gotta slowly penetrate you. They gotta lube you up. They gotta fucking poke around in there and get you all loosened up. They can't just ram their dick up your ass. You know what I'm saying? So like, come on, man. Like we can't feign ignorant to this. Like this, we can't pretend that this is something we didn't see coming. And you could say, well, Jesse, it's not that we didn't see it coming. It's that even though we all kind of knew this was going to happen, it still fucking sucks that it happened. And hey, fair point. Again, I just rambled about the economic state of the world because it does suck, and I know it sucks. So yeah, you have every right to be disappointed about it, and if you feel personally that the value is no longer there, I would absolutely encourage people, unsubscribe to Game Pass. Vote with your dollars. Tell Microsoft, we don't want this fucking service for $20 a month. That's not worth it. But I was doing a little bit of napkin math last night thinking about it, and it's like Game Pass is still only like $140 now at $20 a month? Or sorry, $240. Why did I say $140? $240 a year. I'm getting dyslexic and stupid all at the same time. $240 a year is I'm sorry, man. It's just not a lot of money. And when you consider the fact that games are $70, it's like that's like 3.5 games a year. So if you are a hardcore gamer, I think Game Pass for the cost of 3.5 brand new video games a year is a steal, because Xbox alone is going to give you 2 to 4, 3 on average, brand new first party games day one in the Game Pass. So there's your value. Plus you get cloud saving. Plus you get streaming. Plus you get PC access. Like in the back catalog full of indie games and games that came out a year or two ago that you never played, but now you get to try because they're in Game Pass. In my opinion, if you are a hardcore gamer, if you're someone who plays games every week, if you're someone who plays Xbox as your primary entertainment device, like if you know your go-to thing for entertainment and free time is playing Xbox, yeah, $20 a month is still an absolute fucking steal. I think $20 is a great value. I'm not saying it doesn't suck that it costs more money. Of course it does. But the value's still there. If you plan on playing, if you came into 2024 saying, I'm going to play Indiana Jones and Avowed and Call of Duty Black Ops 6 and Hellblade 2 Senua's Saga this year, like all 4 of those games, I want to play all those games this year. Guess what, man? You already lost out by not having Game Pass Ultimate, because that's cheaper than all 4 of those games. Plus all the indies, Pal World and all that shit, you know? Plus cloud streaming. I don't know, to me it works. Like I have that Logitech G Cloud. I use that thing almost every week. I need cloud streaming, like quote unquote. I use cloud streaming. It is a part of the Xbox experience that has become a must-have feature for me when it comes to Xbox. So yeah, I gotta have Game Pass Ultimate. I use it. It's a feature that's great that I use. I rarely ever, but sometimes use Game Pass for PC, which is included in my Game Pass Ultimate subscription. It's a nice little bonus. It's kind of more a perk than anything that I don't necessarily need. I could give or take, leave it or take it, but it's nice to have. But just between the day one games and a couple of indies a year, dude, I would guess that I get at least $400 or $500 of value out of Game Pass every year. For $240, well, So I just want to make it clear, it is okay to be upset that the price went up. It's frustrating when every day you go to work and you don't get told that you're getting a promotion or a pay increase, but every day you see the story online, theme parks are raising their prices, gas prices are going up, the 2 fucking geriatric motherfucking lying sacks of shit you have to vote for this year for president are doing literally nothing about the housing market, the economy, or goddamn, they don't care. They don't give a shit about you. They don't care about your problems. They're literally just concerned with themselves, their power, their legacy, and they will basically just serve themselves and their affiliates and never give a shit about you. I get it. It's all frustrating. $20 a month is still pretty good value. So, and I would expect it to go up again. If you asked me a few years ago, I would have said the sweet spot for Game Pass is probably $25 a month. I think after $25 a month is when it gets to like all right, now we got to talk about this territory. And hey, more power to you. If you're someone who on principle is just going to be like, that's fine, I'll pay the extra money. I don't want to do Game Pass. I'm just going to buy my games a la carte. More power to you. I actually kind of wish I could go that route too, but cloud streaming is a big one for me. But yeah, I mean, I kind of prefer the days of just buying games a la carte. I don't necessarily, I've spoken out against Game Pass multiple times on this podcast and said it's a bold move. It's a ballsy move. I respect Microsoft for trying to flip the script and reinvent the wheel in a way to try and, in an effort to try and make themselves more competitive. But I don't necessarily love the world where Game Pass is the way we access our games. In some way, I do kind of prefer the a la carte method. Game Pass has its merits, and I like things about that as well. But I totally get it if people got to go do something else. Now, aside from the value the value argument, we got to talk about this new thing with Game Pass Standard. I actually think this tier makes more sense than the other thing. I think, I don't know, maybe not more sense. So having Game Pass Core, or not Core, what was it? Having whatever it was, Game Pass, but not Ultimate or whatever, where it was just $10 a month. You don't get the online access, but you get all the games, including day one games. That was a really good value and a really good tier for people who predominantly play on PC or PlayStation, but have an Xbox just for the day one Game Pass games. And I think Microsoft is trying to intentionally weed those people out because they're trying to say, no. If you want to play day one games, you got to pay the premium price. That's the premium benefit. So why would we have that? Why would we have that available at one of the lower tiers? It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make business sense. So if you want to pay $10 a month or $15 a month, we're going to have a tier for you. It's going to include everything but the hottest ticket item. I get it. They were giving away their best feature in one of their lower tiers. You know, basically the way it was set up before, where it was $10 or $11 a month and you get access to every game in Game Pass, you just don't get online play. That's silly because it's like insinuating that the most premium features of Game Pass Ultimate is the ability to play online and the ability to cloud stream games, when those are absolutely secondary perks to the day one game releases. That is absolutely the number one thing that people are there for. If Game Pass didn't have day one releases, Game Pass would have crumbled forever ago. Or Game Pass would have been this kind of boutique little vault-like catalog of games where it's like you pay $8 a month and you get access to all these games that are 2 years or older or something like that. Like, that's fine. That's a cool service. I'd pay for that. But Game Pass as it is works and is popular and is desirable because day one releases. So I get it. You can't put that in a lower tier. So I think it's good. They give you basically everything else. They say, here's a catalog of games, you just don't get day one releases, and here's online play. It's basically Game Pass Ultimate, but you don't get cloud streaming, and you don't get day one releases, but you probably will get those games after a year or so, maybe less, maybe 6 months. I'd say somewhere between 6 months and a year, you probably get these games. So it's still a good value. It's still a good option if you don't have to be the guy who plays everything day one. And it's a good value proposition, or it's a really good marketing proposition where they can just go, yeah, I mean, here you go for $15, but for just $5 more a month, you get the hottest games the day they come out. I mean, why wouldn't you just? I mean, this tier is obviously designed to just nudge you to go up another $5. That's clearly the intention behind it. But I understand how some people are going to get mad about this by saying $15 a month now allows you to pay the same price as what Game Pass Ultimate used to be, but with only half the benefits. I understand people are going to complain and say things like that, but I still think this makes more sense. I'm not saying I like it more. I'm just saying it makes more business sense. I get it. But yeah, I mean, the last thing I want to say is just like people are, oh, it's so confusing now. Yeah, it is confusing when you change things. I agree. It's confusing when things were a certain way in 2017 and then like a year ago you changed it drastically and then a year later you're changing it again. I agree. That is confusing. But if this was the only version of Game Pass they ever did, like these tiers, I think this is probably the most comprehensible it's been since the beginning of Game Pass. You got Game Pass for PC, which is access to all the games, including day one games, just for PC players. So people who only play on PC have that because playing online is already free on PC, and PC players don't necessarily need streaming or access to consoles. So that makes sense. And then you have this Game Pass Core, which is just basically Xbox Live. It's just if you're someone who wants to buy games a la carte and you don't want to subscribe to Game Pass and get your games all through a subscription service, then this one is designed to give you the ability to play games online, as well as give you a little tiny catalog of rotating games, 20 games or so that rotate, just to kind of be like, yeah, sure, buy your games a la carte if that's the kind of person you are, but here's a little free catalog of games out here in the corner. Maybe try them one day, and maybe that will plant a seed in your brain that goes, maybe you should get Game Pass Ultimate one day. So I get that tier. That tier makes perfect sense. And then you have the tier for people who want it all but don't want the day one games and want to save a couple bucks. And then you got the tier that's just a little more expensive that says, but why wouldn't you want all those day one games? I think it's kind of brilliantly structured now. I think this makes way more sense. I mean, overall, again, I'm not saying I'm happy the prices are up. I'm not saying that everyone's being a whiny bitch and complaining for nothing. You have every right to be upset as a consumer. Prices of everything's gone up. And there's like no relief in sight for anyone. But I can't say in good faith that we didn't see this coming. This wasn't a necessary thing. This wasn't an inevitable thing. And this isn't a thing that makes sense. It makes sense. It sucks, but it makes sense. You know? Like polio. It makes sense. You know? Why not? Why not polio? It sucks, but it makes sense. What am I saying? All right. I mean, that's really all there is to it. Like, I mean, it sucks. It's a new big part of the Xbox experience. We got to get used to it. These new tiers, these new prices. But, like, I don't know. What more do you want to say about it? They're about to fucking put the most expensive, highly sought after franchise in the history of video games on Game Pass day one. Yeah, they're going to raise the price. And guess what? $20 a month is still too much. Not too much, but it's still a great value for getting Call of Duty Black Ops 6 day one. Okay. I don't know, man. Let me know what you guys think. I'm sure this is going to be one of those Jesse takes. It's like, all right, Jesse, you're a little time to go to bed. You're a little dumb. But I got to stand by how I feel about this. All right, let's do a little wrap-up story because that's really it this week. There's it was that one big news story, but we got some Circana sales data for the month of May now that or June now that we got a little distance from the month. No, it's May. Yeah, it's always like a month behind. So May. So for the month of May, PlayStation 5 was the best-selling console in the US, and Ghost of Tsushima was the best-selling game in the US because it came to PC that month. Sony's game was the last month's best-selling title based on dollar sales following its release of the PC version. The top-performing brand new release for games on console was Paper Mario Thousand Year Door for Nintendo Switch. And keep in mind, Nintendo doesn't track digital sales in here, so it probably did way better than that. Ghost of Tsushima generated a slightly higher consumer spending total across physical and digital game sales, and then did Paper Mario Thousand Year Door, said Circana. Other new releases that made the top 20 games for the month of May were Homeworld 3 at the number 14 spot and F1 24 at the number 18 spot. On the hardware front, PS5 remains the top-selling console in the US in both units and dollar sales. Nintendo Switch is once again the second best-selling console in the US in unit sales, while Xbox Series consoles ranked second in dollar sales. So this is important. Not totally dead last. Actually, it's last because Xbox is just more expensive than Switch, so that's why it was second in dollar sales. But Nintendo sold more units, so not great for Xbox as always. Total U.S. consumer spending on game hardware, content, and accessories fell 6% year over year to $3.975 billion. Year-to-date consumer spending remains up 2% at $22.751 billion, and that's pretty understandable because generally big purchases go down when the economy is hard, so that's why year over year that stuff's down, but consumer spending remains up. That's probably because of microtransactions and cheaper games and free-to-play and all those things. So people are spending more time playing their Xboxes and PlayStations than they are going out and drinking $17 cocktails at Disney World because that's the world we live in now. Those are $17. It's insane. But real quick, of the top 20 best-selling games of the month for Xbox, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 is holding strong at the number 3 spot. Sea of Thieves is still the number 6 spot, so it only dropped a little bit from the month prior. That's pretty good. Minecraft is at the number 7 spot, so it climbed up from 13 this month because Minecraft never leaves. Fallout 4 is at the number 11 spot, so still holding on strong since that Fallout TV show came out. That's very good. But yeah, so it's not all doom and gloom for Xbox. Their games are selling. People like their games. We just gotta do something about that hardware. All right, you guys, you dumb idiots, you sexy boys, you sweet mothers of pearl. That's it for all the big news. Let's round out with the important enough news stories important enough to make the podcast, but not important enough to learn during discussions. Starting off with one unfortunate layoff, and that is that Gothic, Risen, and Elix studio, Piranha Byte, has reportedly closed its doors after 25 years. Former employees told CD Action that the German studio ceased operations at the end of June after financing from parent company Embracer Group had failed to find a new owner or publishing partner. What does there say? Next up, EA Sports FC 25 will be released in September. That's according to prolific game leaker Bill Kuhn, whatever, who writes at Deal Labs that the game will likely be revealed in the next week or so. Next up, City Skylines 2 console version has been delayed again, this time indefinitely. The game was originally supposed to launch on Xbox and PC in October last year, and then it was delayed to spring of this year, and then released to October of this year. However, Paradox Interactive has now said that there's an indefinite delay on the game, and that they hope to have an update on that in the next month or so. So hopefully they can get a date on it, but as of now, it has no release date for console, just for PC. All right, that is it for all of our news this week, you guys. It's time for the best section of the podcast, the comments the YouTube comments, the shout outs, the questions, the interrogations, the justifications, the mansplaining, all the rest. We got 7 people who wrote in this week, and I couldn't be more happy than sit here with all y'all for the next 30 minutes and go through these ridiculous comments. Now, you know how it works. You go to youtube.com/XboxOnPodcast. That's at XboxOnPodcast at youtube.com. Click on the latest episode. I swear to God, if it's last week's episode, I'll skin you, you stupid motherfucker. And you leave a comment. You can say something nice, something mean, something in between. You can say, like, Jesse, I like you, but you're fat. You know, something like that. And I'll be like, feelings hurt. Appreciate the honesty. Let's read the comments. So, starting off with Mr. Mike Clark. And this week I headed this random order because I'm a lazy asshole this week. So, no rhyme or reason to the layout of these comments this week. We're just going in the order that they were pasted in from my phone. Mike Clark writes in and says, if Crazy Taxi Rebirth doesn't have an Offspring soundtrack, I won't play it. Oh, absolutely, man. You gotta, dude, I swear to God. The new Crazy Taxi is like, we're coming up with a modern soundtrack for modern audiences featuring Ariana Grande, Lana Del Rey. I'll fucking kill myself. Are you kidding me? No, they better have some fucking punk rock music. They better have Zebrahead. They better have the Bouncing Souls, because I mentioned them earlier in the podcast. You said, did you break your swear jar? Maybe there is a vulgar language challenge I missed. What did I say? Was I using like the C word or something? What happened? Catch the rest of the show later, but I wanted to wish you a happy 4th. Well, Mike Clark, happy 4th of July to you on this fine July 11th. Have a great week. Stay sexy. And yes, please, for love of Christ, put the Offspring in Crazy Taxi. Corny Puddle wrote in and says, I'm with you, bro, on the Spyro love. I like Crash, but Spyro was my childhood. Dude, yes, and 1,000 times yes. I just gotta say this. I didn't realize this was a thing until, 6-7 years ago, when the Crash Reignited trilogy and the Spyro Reignited trilogy and Crash Insane trilogy, when those came out, what was that? Like, that was like towards the end of my college experience, right? Yeah, 2017, 18, something like that. When those games came out, I learned something because we had that resurgence of those old school 3D platformers. And what I found out was people prefer Crash Bandicoot to Spyro the Dragon. Excuse me, are you a crackhead? What? Listen, they're both great. I like Crash, I like Spyro. That being said, Spyro the Dragon is like a gazillion times better than Crash Bandicoot. This is like when I found out that like My Chemical Romance is like the most popular emo band. It's like, are you guys fucking as stupid heads or something? Like My Chemical Romance they're a great band. I love My Chemical Romance. They aren't even top 10 best emo bands of all time. What is wrong with you? I know that's a hot take for all 3 emo people left in the world, but it's just one of those things. It's like I was so ignorant my whole life thinking, yeah, of course people like Spyro more than Crash. Are you crazy? He's purple. It's a great color. But no, people like Crash Bandicoot better because we live in a world where fucking you guys like goddamn Elden Ring and not Atlas Fallen. So I have to live with this. These are the reasons I stay up at night. These are the reasons I have a psychiatrist, why I take medications that even I don't understand the medical ramifications of, why I can't keep an erection longer than 13 seconds now because of all the pills you guys make me take with your terrible, terrible opinions and tastes. And I just can't allow to let bygones be bygones. I can't allow for people to just agree to disagree. You have to adopt my tastes and my opinions. Don't you fucking understand that, Corny Puddle, you stupid son of a bitch who absolutely agrees with me in this scenario, so why am I being so aggressive towards you? Thank you for writing in, and I hope, may your puddles be less corny in the future. Thank you. Objects in Space writes in and says, I pretty much exclusively play single players. I play players. Let me read again so I don't make you sound like a dumbass, because I'm a dumbass. I pretty much play exclusively single player. I love me some couch co-op. I dabbled in Halo/COD multiplayer back in the day, but usually got bored after a few matches. And playing online with people never really appealed to me. It's fun with friends, but I'm at an age where my friends don't really have time, and honestly, I'm not into all the samey looter shooters, battle pass, grind fests. All of this to say, I'm really curious about Destiny 2 from the single player perspective. Is the entire story / DLC available from start to finish? Can it be played as a single player? And most importantly, is it worth playing just for the story? Just want to add, Hellblade 2 has the most insane wind physics ever that I've ever seen in a game. Hellblade 2 has a lot of insane graphical and physics type things. I don't know if I paid too much attention to the wind physics, but great looking game. Yeah, Objects in Space. I want to thank you for writing in because this is a great question, and I am very, very sad to report to you that I don't have a good answer for you. I have an answer for you. I have a thoughtful answer for you, but it's not what you're going to want to hear, is unfortunately the case. First of all, I feel what you're going through so much, because for the most part, I deal with that. So I do get stuck down the Call of Duty and Halo rabbit hole with multiplayer. I do love to play some multiplayer alone by myself with music or podcasts going in the background. But I'm with you. I do not enjoy... I actually hate couch co-op. I do not enjoy multiplayer at all. Little anecdote. I feel like such a fucking prick all the time because my girlfriend is so into Fortnite now. She loves Fortnite. And we have like very few couple friends. And we're very great. Like, we're very lucky to have this one couple group of friends that both play Fortnite. So it's like my girlfriend plays Fortnite. She loves it. My buddy plays Fortnite. His girlfriend plays Fortnite. They play with my girlfriend. They'll play Fortnite together. And then it's like, naturally, you would think, well, Jesse's the gamer guy. He's got the Xbox podcast. Of course, he's going to play Fortnite. The four of us are going to bond by playing Fortnite together, right? It's nothing against anyone. I love my friends. I love my girlfriend. I hate this. I hate it. I hate putting on the headset. I hate doing the cooperative play, all of it. I'm like, stop. I don't like Fortnite, so it's like, if we were going to do a battle royale, it's like, can we please do Apex Legends? And then you think it's like, it's not about the game you're playing. It's about the social experience. But at the same time, I'm like, this feels like video game time, but I don't like the game we're playing. I hate it. So I just want to put it out there. I empathize with you so much because I realize I feel like such a piece of shit, because it's like, you gotta take your opportunities where you can get them. If someone wants to play a game with you, you fucking take it, man. You take the opportunity to spend time with the people you care about. You take the opportunity to play video games with others. It's a dying pastime, something you don't have as much access to. Like, take it. Can't bring myself to do it, man. I just want to go play Mario 64 by myself while Black Dolly Murder or whatever the fuck plays in the background. No, it's not true. It's a lie. That's an absolute lie. All right. But yeah, to get to your Destiny question, to get to the bulk of what you're saying here. So here's the bad news for Destiny. I'm very lucky that I started playing Destiny the day it came out. In fact, Destiny 1 is the very last game I ever did a midnight launch for at GameStop. September 2014, last time I ever did one of those. So I have literally been playing Destiny since the day it came out. And I will say, over the course of that 10... God, I cannot believe Destiny's 10 years old. Over the course of that 10-year period... Makes me want to fucking smash my face against a pile of rocks. But over the course of that 10-year period, I have played 94% of that time spent in Destiny 1 and 2, I have played by myself. I've never completed a raid in Destiny. I've only had the privilege and opportunity to play a raid one time. And it was with a couple old coworkers at a restaurant I worked at many years ago. And we didn't even finish the raid. I had to buy a second copy of Destiny 1 on PlayStation 4, because this was before crossplay, just to play with those guys, because no one I knew had an Xbox One at the time, and nobody I knew gave a shit about Destiny. And I literally had to buy a second copy of the game on PS4 just to play with my coworkers so I could experience Destiny as a multiplayer game. So all that to say, I'm not the best. When it comes to Destiny, is a game I love, but I have not experienced it the way Bungie intends for you to experience it. In recent years, I've played more Destiny cooperatively because my younger nephews, who are now older, 10 years ago, they weren't playing Destiny, but today they play Destiny. So nowadays I do play with them sometimes, but it's usually like running through the campaign or Crucible for a little bit, and that's it. So all that to say, I just don't have, I don't have the experience of someone who's played it multiplayer, really. So I'm solely coming at this from like your perspective as someone who's played it single player. I think the experience I have had playing Destiny over the years, from the very first day all the way through the final shape, I have been very satiated and very satisfied playing Destiny as a single player gamer. I am very well aware there's a lot of stuff I've missed, that the raids are the best part of the game, and I have not experienced them because I do not have 5 other fucking friends to play this game with. But I have very much enjoyed the campaigns, playing some Crucible by myself, strike missions, seasonal events, limited time events, watching YouTube videos about lore just to get more context. I used to listen to Fireteam Chat when IGN had that Destiny podcast back in the day. So I used to listen to that in the earlier days. So like all of those things added up from day one over time gave me enough of a sense of understanding and knowing the Destiny experience to where I felt it was a very good, well-rounded experience, despite the fact I wasn't playing multiplayer, despite the fact I didn't have a fire team to play with. I felt like I got a lot out of Destiny. The problem is, Destiny is treated like an MMORPG, and like all good MMORPGs, once they get to a certain age, the developer starts to do this little bullshit thing where they start vaulting content. So if you wanted to go back now and play all of Destiny 1 and all of Destiny 2, all the campaigns, everything in order, and experience the whole narrative as a single player game, you just can't do that. I think technically you can in Destiny 1. You can play all 4 expansions and the base game without any issue, single player. But once you get into Destiny 2, they have vaulted the base game that came with Destiny 2 when it came out, and they have vaulted some of the expansions, I want to say. Some of the planets are vaulted, so you can't play some content. I think you can only play, Forsaken, Lightfall, Witch Queen, Final Shape, and what's that other one I'm blanking on? Something New Light or whatever. Not Lightfall. The one that came out in like 2020. I think those are the only expansions you can play. No, because Curse of Osiris and the War Mine or whatever, I think you can play those too, but you just can't play the base game. I don't know. It is insane to me that there's content you just can't play. But some of it you can't play. And so I don't know that I recommend Destiny to someone who hasn't played it before. Even if you have friends that play it, I don't know that I even recommend it. Because there's just so much that's been taken away that you can't enjoy anymore. So unfortunately, I don't mean to... I don't mean to gatekeep it. From a gameplay perspective, Destiny is just one of the most satisfying and fun to play first-person shooters ever created. And so if you just want it for pure gameplay, go play it. It's fun. But I think it'll be very overwhelming to figure out what the game... figure out a direction for the game. Like, you can play it, but you might have a hard time figuring out, what you want to focus on in order to get satisfaction out of the experience. And then if you want to focus mainly on narrative, there's just so many events that have passed and content that's been vaulted that you just can't get it all. So I don't know. For as much as I love Bungie, for as much as I love Destiny, for as grateful I am for everything that this game has been over the past decade, seriously, you got to ding them for how they've handled the preservation of all the content that's come before, because this game is just not friendly to newcomers. I would probably recommend Destiny if you're a lapsed Destiny player, if you're coming back to Destiny, but I don't know that I would recommend it to someone who's never played Destiny. But I don't know, man. I will say this: Destiny 2, the base content, it's free to play. It's free to download. So download it, give it a try, see if you like it, and then maybe if you enjoyed enough, it's worth going through enough YouTube videos and stuff to learn about the lore, figure out what you missed, and try and catch up. Just know that it's overwhelming and it's cumbersome. It's like World of Warcraft. It's one of those things where it's like, if you weren't here from back in the day, then you're going to be so lost, because this game has just evolved so far past what it initially was that it's really kind of only for the people who were already here. And I say that as someone who's been playing for 10 years, even I'm somewhat lost all the time when I'm playing Destiny. So it's not done gracefully, but I hope that helps. I don't mean to have to be the bearer of bad news. I hate that, in fact, but I hope that helps kind of clarify things. Objects in Space, thank you for writing in. Cargo Runner writes in and says, for me, the problem with Xbox service short-term glitches and long-term outages is that achievements are basically online only. So sometimes if you're offline, you get an achievement that somehow stores it. In this case, it doesn't pop when you're next online. It only pops when you next play the specific game. And it can be difficult to make them pop. You end up reading forums and finding out what other people had to do in order to get the game to store the achievements and then to register them. Sometimes the offline achievements only pop when you're online and get new achievements in the same game. It's just a mess. You didn't have that problem at all with the 360. You could just play the Xbox 360 offline with no problem. Unlike the Xbox 360, you can't copy your save file to a USB. You can't even back up your progress in the case of achievements if that goes wrong. As I care about achievements, if the service is totally down, or you get a "you've been signed out" message during peak times, then I can't safely play physical or digital games. I have to switch to PlayStation or an Xbox 360. Cargo Runner, this is a very fair point that I would literally never in a million years have considered, but it is a fair point. But that the thing you mentioned that I specifically like never considered it, but you're totally right about, is like, yeah, like why was it that like Xbox 360 games I played offline on my Xbox 360 all the time because I was a poor 12-year-old when I had Xbox 360. So there were some times where it's like Xbox Live ran out, I just got to play Xbox without the internet for the next month or two until I can finagle a way to get another 3-month Xbox Live card. So I remember going through spells, moments in time where it's like, I just don't have internet right now. And in those moments, those were always the times where I focused on achievements the most, because I'd be like, all right, can't play Call of Duty World at War or Halo 3 online right now because I don't have Xbox Live, but I can pop Left 4 Dead in my Xbox and try to knock out some of those difficult achievements until I have enough money to get Xbox Live again. Dude, those are the fucking glory days when you're a kid, right? You just always find a way to make fun. But anyway, like I remember those days, and it's funny that you mentioned this because I never considered that, but you're totally right. I remember I had tons of achievements that were totally broken and glitched with Halo Wars 2, and then like I beat the game the week it came out, and then I played the game like 2-3 years later. And I popped the game in, started it up, and then it was like, boop, achievement unlocked, boop, achievement unlocked, boop, achievement unlocked. I'm like, these are achievements I unlocked like 2 or 3 years ago that just never registered until today. Why the fuck does that happen? Like, how are we going backwards on this? Why is the progress going in the how are we moving away from this? I don't understand, but good point. I know that's a little niche. A lot of people probably don't give a shit about achievements. They just want to play the game, but it is a fair point. I know, this is a podcast by and for hardcore Xbox fans, so clearly this is a problem among people like us because, hey, we love Xbox. We're here for the achievements, so good point, and thanks for the write-in. You also have a second write-in here, though, where you say, in regards to PlayStation, or not PlayStation, Grand Theft Auto 6, people are expecting GTA 6 to be released in the fall of 2025. It's also expected to be console-only initially. I think it'd be really great if Xbox launched their handheld by the fall of 2025. Many PC players would be tempted to get a console for GTA 6, and if the Xbox handheld played Xbox and Steam games, it would be a no-brainer choice for them. I think the Xbox handheld would sell really well. I don't know that the Xbox handheld really necessarily translates to PC players are interested in it, but I do think it would be yet another reason to get people interested. And I do think you're right that it could be like in the sense that it could be that like supplemental or secondary console for people. Like, oh, I play on PC, but I want to play GTA 6 and I only have a PC and I really don't want to wait 20 years for it to come to PC. I'm just going to pick up that Xbox handheld that's like a Nintendo Switch where I can dock. It's $300 or whatever, and then I'm just going to pick up GTA 6 on that because I can play it on a handheld, or I can dock it to my TV, or I can hook it up to my monitor. Like, that's cool. I can do that. And yeah, assuming that thing hits like a $400 price point or something, maybe that could be a pretty enticing way for people to get in on it. But that thing's going to have to be pretty fucking powerful to run GTA 6. But man, here's hoping, right? I mean, I'm thinking about it. It's like PlayStation doesn't have a handheld that has the power of a PS5. Steam Deck is really like the only device we've seen that can do stuff like that, but it's all about that weird PC optimization. I mean, I guess we are in a place where we have the technology. We could do this, right? I guess I'm so distracted by Switch and its little potato-like performance, but I think there's truth to what you're saying that, this could be done. But yeah, hopefully, I don't think they would launch right on time. I think Grand Theft Auto is supposed to probably launch in like September, and Xbox probably won't have their new consoles ready to go until like November, but it's around the time. So yeah, let's see if they can make that work. That would be a cool thing to have over PlayStation. Like, this game is only available on PlayStation and Xbox, but PlayStation doesn't have a native handheld, and Xbox does. So that is a huge advantage for Xbox if they're able to do something like that. We know PlayStation's trying to get a PS5 Pro out the door in time for GTA 6. Well, what if Xbox has a whole new generation of Xbox out in time for GTA 6? That could be a pretty good get for them from a marketing perspective. GTA 6 will look and run best and give you more options of ways to play if you're in the Xbox camp. That's pretty good. All right, next up, Sam Frito writes in and says, buy one, get ones at Publix are usually the unhealthiest shit. Pepperidge Farm Milanos, an Ole El Paso taco kits. We usually buy the fresh seafood there when it's not too unreasonably priced, but veggies are downright unaffordable. Great show, you exquisite motherfucking megalodon. You have spoken. Sam Frito, this is so fucking true, man. The second you wrote this in and I read it, I could just picture those little bins when you first walk into Publix on your right-hand side as you walk towards the deli, and they got the bins, and it's just like, do you want to buy a little Debbie, little bite muffins? Buy one, get one. It's like, I don't fucking need confetti cake little muffins. Like, this is just going to make me die faster. Like, what the fuck? It's like, if buy one, get one was like, buy one head of broccoli, get a fucking bag of spinach free. It's like, okay, that's pretty good. If it was like, buy a gallon of milk, get a fucking carton of eggs for free, I'd be like, all right, Publix, here we fucking go. Okay. You know, do they still do the penny item of the week? That when I worked at Publix back in the day, we had the penny item every Thursday. There's a new ad that came out, and there's one item in the store that's only a penny, and fucking soccer moms would go nuts for that shit. I don't know if they still do that. But anyway, Sam Frito, thank you for writing in, and more importantly, thank you for just having that sexy ass that won't quit, I'm assuming. I've never seen you from the back. Moving on as fast as possible, Mike Clark writes in and says, Xbox On Podcast, the show where your wallet can relax because the subscription price hasn't budged an inch. That's right. Subscribe to my Patreon for free $99, baby. You said, on the topic of Game Pass. The good old days when everyone said, no tears, no fears, no extra costs. And now, 2 price jumps in a single year. We're not at $20 a month, folks. That's $240 a year, not including taxes. Seriously, what was this reason why Game Pass was down for a day? Lol. Could Xbox be the gaming world's equivalent of a karaoke singer missing the beat? I've met/worked with folks with Asperger's who could sense the room's vibe with more finesse. Okay, let's stop there for a second. Yeah, man, it's Xbox is absolutely terrible with the timing and everything. I think the way to handle this would... Well, actually, I don't really know when a better time would have been. Maybe like a month or two before Black Ops 6 came out, you know? Maybe get some more value into Game Pass first, put some Call of Duty games in there, get that Spyro and Crash and collections in there, get that Tony Hawk collection in there, like get some shit in there, get a little closer to Black Ops 6, put a date on Avowed, put a date on Indiana Jones, and maybe then do the bump, you know, in the middle of all that. But I don't know, man, it's never a good time, but this did have to happen. So I'm not saying I'm happy with the price increases. It's just that I'm not going to feign outrage over this because I just get it. Like I always saw it as inevitable. So I'm just not surprised about it, I guess, in that sense. I always expected things to cost more than I could afford, I guess. I don't know. What do you want to say? You said, on the topic of Atlas Fallen, it has indeed captured my interest. Jesse, your insight are much appreciated, and a hearty accommodation for acknowledging Recore. That title deserved more limelight in the gaming universe. I agree. As for new hardware, maybe hold out. It might be coming to Game Pass pretty soon. New hardware, how do you feel if the next Xbox was solely a handheld device with a dock? It seems quite plausible that they might opt for this rather than producing multiple SKUs of consoles. I believe that could be a possibility. Wishing you a week filled of sunshine and smiles. Fantastic program, as usual, and eagerly anticipating the next episode. Thank you, sir. I really hope the next Xbox is not that only. I really hope the next Xbox is what the rumor has suggested, which is there is one that is like an Xbox Series X type device. It is this big, powerful tower-like device, $600, $700, $800 probably, and it is the most powerful, beefy video game console you've ever seen in your life, and that's the first one. The second one is this handheld that's like a Nintendo Switch type device. It's like the successor to the Series S, which is a small little Nintendo Switch handheld. It's $400. You can dock it to your TV, and it's the perfect way to play Xbox on the go. If Xbox Series Next Gen is both of those two things, I will feel like they have nailed the next generation of Xbox. I think that's really all we need it to be. But that's my point of view. Now, obviously, Xbox, the most powerful version, the Xbox Series X, isn't always the highest selling, but I just think if Xbox is very committed to hardware as they suggest, you got to have that beast of a machine. You got to have that like kind of it's the face of the Xbox brand. You can play Xbox on a Roku stick or whatever the fuck. You can play it on a Samsung TV. You can stream it from your Android tablet. You can play it on your iPhone. You can buy PlayStation. You can buy Xbox games on your PlayStation. You can do all these things, but at the end of the day, if you're going to have some piece of kit be the poster child of the Xbox brand, it's got to be some classic style, super beefy, top of the line, next gen home console. And so I think that always needs to be an option if they're going to stay in hardware. But maybe I'm totally wrong. I don't know shit. But that's just my opinion. That's how I feel about it. All right, let's wrap up here. So Cronky writes in with our penultimate comment of the week and says, people really do overreact about outages with Xbox Live Network. I mean, do you guys not have internet outages and stuff from time to time? It happens. It does. It does suck, but it does happen. My guess is that people aren't really as outraged as everything makes it seem. It's just that, everyone on the internet has got to be the first one to a news story and the first one to comment. You either got to be the first one to tell the news story because you're trying to get clicks and make a brand, or you're the first guy to write the funny comment or the funny outrage reaction to get the engagement because you need the clicks. So it's everyone's trying to be one of those two guys, and to the point where it looks like everyone's outraged, when in reality everyone's just trying to mine attention. But yes, it's insane. It's insufferable. And I will take an Xbox Live Network outage over an internet outage at my house, or God forbid a power outage any fucking day of the week. Cronky finishes up and says, by the way, I'm playing Destiny 2 The Final Shape, and I gotta say, the Crucible is still the worst multiplayer shooter in the last 2 decades, and it's not even close. I have no idea how this mode came out of Bungie, and it makes me dread the state of Marathon and what it will be like. The campaign is pretty good as far as Destiny goes, though. Campaign is pretty great. Yeah, I agree to some extent. Worst FPS multiplayer shooter in the last 2 decades? No, you're fucking crazy. But yeah, Crucible. I don't love Crucible. I play Crucible out of necessity, generally to grind light level and gear, and not because it's fun. I don't love Crucible at all. So I will not defend it with you. Against you. I will let you have that point any day. I mean, when you consider that the guys that made Halo 3 multiplayer are the same guys that made the Crucible in Destiny, yeah, it's astonishing. One's God tier and one's something. No matter how much they tweak and balance the Crucible, it always feels unbalanced. It always feels like shit. So, yeah. But I have noticed, as a side note, if you force yourself to play the Crucible for like 5-6 hours straight, you will get good enough at it that it doesn't bother you as much as it normally would with how broken it is. But then if you stop playing Destiny for like a week, you will have to reacclimate, and it sucks. Fuck the Crucible. Yeah, that's not the good part of Destiny. The good part of Destiny is like the narrative content, the missions. All right, finally, our wrap-up comment comes from none other than the sexiest motherfucker in the whole ass. You always got to put him last because he's the dessert, man. Cake comes last. Headhunting Halo. He writes in and says, been playing the first Descendants, and it's nice little game. It feels like a clone of Destiny, but overall still good. Taco Bell's bringing a clone of the Choco Taco with them. That was announced so long ago. Why are you bringing that up now? With different spreads of sauce, man, these sound good. Everyone have a great week. Headhunting Halo. You got me all excited. I was like, is that coming out sooner than later? And then I looked it up. It's like they don't even have a plan for it to come out this year. They were just kind of it was just kind of like some internet hype thing. It's not even like real at this point. So I hope it happens. I hope it happens soon. I'll be excited to try that as well, Mr. Headhunting Halo. But don't be out here spreading false hope, okay? You get my hopes up, and then my hopes get down, and I got to take more of those pills, and I got the ED problem. I don't need all that shit, Headhunting Halo. So please, come to my window. Come to my, yeah, whatever. Headhunting Halo. Glad you're enjoying the first Descendants. I still need to get to that. I was planning on getting to that next, but I already have Stalker downloaded, so I think I'm going to play Stalker, Shattered Chernobyl. I already know I'm going to struggle with that game, so I'm trying to figure out how to make it make sense for me, but that's probably next on the docket. Guys, that's it for this week's episode of Xbox On. Be good. Take care of yourselves. Hopefully you all survived 4th of July, and yeah, be well, eat healthy, take care of your friends and family, do what you gotta do, fulfill your adult responsibilities, mow your goddamn lawn, or not, I don't give a shit, do what you want. And until next weekend, next Thursday, that's not the weekend. Till next week, power your dreams.